righty. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. My name is Christina M. Johnson of Testimony Publishers, LLC, Entrepreneurs Who Rise, and Self-Publishers Hub. And I want to welcome you to this live conversation with my special guest, Attorney Lauren Brown. Hello, Ms. Brown. How are you?
I am wonderful, Ms. Johnson. Thank you for this opportunity to have an intimate conversation about intellectual property. And welcome to all of our audience. And get ready to ask some questions and be enlightened.
Yes, yes. So speaking of our audience, so I saw someone hop on and then hop off. Let's share this out. So if you are on live with us now, go ahead and share this out for anyone you know that's interested in copyrights, trademarks, patents, trade secrets. Anyone that has a business, a creator, a content creator, influencer, an author, someone who has written works, or business owners and entrepreneurs who have products and services. So this is relative information for anyone who is coming up with anything, okay? So definitely share it out for us. If you're watching the replay, share it out as well. Maybe tag some people in the comments, and I am going to share it a couple of places as well. So while you all are sharing, I am going to be sharing as well. And Attorney Lauren, if you want to share it out, definitely do that. But give me 10 seconds and I'm going to share it a few places online right now.
That sounds wonderful. Thank you.
You are welcome. I see it going out. Okay, so I've shared it out. Hopefully you all have shared it out. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Let me introduce Miss Lauren. This is a pleasure of mine. Every time I get a chance to have a conversation with you, I am enlightened, I learn, and I get to use that information with the clients that I'm working with, my own family even. So I thank you for this opportunity. So I want to introduce you and just take a few moments to do that. So Attorney Lauren Brown is a renowned expert in law and intellectual property. With years of experience in protecting creative assets, Ms. Brown is here to shed a little bit of light on the intricate world of copyrights, trademarks, patents, and trade secrets. The content she has included in her upcoming book, which we'll talk a little bit about, has been making waves all over the internet in real world situations in reference to intellectual property. So let's welcome again, leave a comment in the chat, a hello or a wave for Attorney Lauren Brown. Tell the audience a little bit about yourself and what you'd like them to know about you before we get into questions.
Wow, thank you. And again, it's an honor and a pleasure to be here with everyone this evening. After many years of passion and serving others, practicing law, owning multiple businesses, I decided to, quote, retire about 5 years ago and continue really to serve and help others. That's been my main innovation, my main motivation for the work that I've done. So I decided to bring all of my experiences, my expertise, and my passion together to form my company, LRB Global Consulting Services. And one of the things that was happening with my clients is that I discovered they really had wonderful, original, creative ideas and works, but they weren't protecting them. And so I'd like to share this story for just a brief moment. Imagine putting time, investment, resources, all of your heart and soul into a name or an idea. You begin to make products or provide services. And lo and behold, someone really likes that name you selected. It's a catchy name. And they go and they protect it. They trademark it, or perhaps the content of what you've developed, they've copyrighted it. And lo and behold, you may be prevented. You might get a cease and desist letter or something that tells you that you have to stop using your own creation because of the fact that you didn't protect it. And so I saw that so much and decided that intellectual property protection, which is a valuable asset to any business owner, any content writer, any influencer, any author, that this valuable asset needs to be protected and it needs to be maintained so it isn't diluted or in other ways destroyed. So really the best way to not only treat this as an asset for your business is to actually protect that original creation. And so that's really been the story I heard too many times, and that really motivated me to get started and to continue to build on intellectual property protection, because as you said, it's in any arena and every arena. Any original creation needs to be protected. And so that's been my consulting business, along with helping with business structures and other kinds of issues related to entrepreneurship and business ownership. So intellectual property is here to stay. There's some, and we'll talk about some of the things that are going on right now in that area just to show you how important it is.
Awesome. Awesome. You always have these real world examples of things related to trademarks, patents, trade secrets, and things like that. So I know you have a really good one coming up for us. But before you talk about a real world example, tell me a little bit about how trademarks and protecting your intellectual property overall can boost visibility if you're an author or business owner.
Well, there are a couple of ways, Christina. One way is you have to first be able to identify the intellectual property that's in your business. It's not as easy as people may think, because there are basically those 4 types that you mentioned. So identifying that, consulting with an IP attorney is real important. And the earlier in your business you do that, the better. You also can register your copyrights, your trademarks, and your patents. And we'll talk about trade secrets, because that's actually a different category. You don't register that. But utilize those symbols. Right. TM for trademark, SM for service mark, C for a copyright, R for registered trademark, which is the highest protection you can get in this country, and patent. That lets the world know that this belongs to you, that you control it, that you are the one who put your blood, sweat, and tears into creating that you're protecting. You can register your business name, because then that means you have ownership and control, and in some situations you have exclusive ownership, especially in the patent arena. You need to keep an eye off on your competitors. There's very little that's new under the sun. So people see things and they like them and they try to acquire them and start using them. And that could lead to dilution of your brand. And you certainly don't want that to happen. Be careful how you use the media. Again, everything is out there and it never really goes away. So nice images and things that are on the internet, the various platforms, people will use those without getting the proper permission. Right. But also, you can use confidentiality agreements, non-disclosure agreements, licensing contracts. These are all ways under the law where you can not only show your ownership and control, but you can also let the world know that this belongs to you. And it protects you and puts you in a good position in the event that someone infringes on those rights that you have once you register your intellectual property. You also want to have some security measures in place, password protection, two-step authentication, encrypt your data, virtual private networks, and it goes on, especially since so much is online now. You need to put those measurements in place. And then another thing that really helps you with your brand is to monetize the intellectual property. And we go into that in the book in great detail.
Awesome. Awesome. A wealth of information. Thank you so, so much for that. Let me check to see if there are any questions that are coming up or any comments. Those of you that are on live with us right now and you have questions for Attorney Lauren, go ahead and put them in the comments now, and I'll make sure that I come back to them so that we can address some questions live. That is all right with you as well, Attorney Lauren, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. So let me go ahead and check the comments. While I'm doing that, can you speak a little bit to, you talked about the exclusivity. I love that. Speak to exclusivity in reference to copyrights and some of those trademarks and what that will actually stop people from being able to do with your intellectual property.
Okay. Once you register with the United States Patent and Trademark Office or the U.S. Copyright Office, again, that's public record to let the world know that that belongs to you. It again puts you in a position that should somebody decide to utilize your creation or your work without your permission and perhaps paying some type of royalty compensating you for it, you are in a position to send them a cease and desist letter or have your attorney do that. Or you may want to take them to court. And the benefit of having that registration is that you are letting the court know that that is your product, that's your service, that's your logo, that's your content, and that the other infringer is in violation of your rights. Exclusivity means, especially in the patent area, that nobody else can reproduce, copy, utilize, or do anything with what you own exclusively. And so that's a real great benefit. If you think about all of the pharmaceutical companies and the different patents that are expired in the last couple of years, many of them are expiring this year, have the benefit of that. That's like having a monopoly in that area because exclusive means you're the only one. And so that's the importance of that. And that's the value asset, the value added that becomes a part of your business. That's the value of intellectual property.
Wow. Wow. Now, in reference to some of those real world situations that are going on now, talk about maybe one of the most recent ones that you've heard of or been involved with.
Well, it's funny you should ask that. I'm working with somebody right now who had chosen a name, and they did all of this before they came to me. So I really want to really urge people to see an IP attorney or business attorney, someone who's familiar with this area, see them early on in the business. But anyway, this person has shared their idea with family members and close friends. One of the family members was kind of jealous of this. So there had been some rivalry between these two siblings. Long story short, the sibling with the idea kind of took their time developing everything. The other sibling, who knew enough about it because it had been shared with the family and close friends, took that idea and ran with it. Got everything copyrighted. There was some trademark issues as well. And turned around and told her sister, now, you can't use it because I've got it. I'm the owner. Another thing that's happened recently in the trademark area is everyone's heard of the Isley brothers. The Isley brothers, the oldest one, Rudolph, sued his younger brother, Ronald. Ronald's a singer. Rudolph was a singer, Corey, all of that. But anyway, in 2022, Ronald got exclusive trademark for the name the Isley Brothers. Up to that time, and the Isley Brothers have been a group since the 50s, and they always shared in the royalties. They co-owned the name, at least that was the understanding. But anyway, Ronald was able to get trademark for the Isley Brothers. That name belongs to him, which means that the other brothers, Ernie and Rudolph, can't use that name without paying Ronald and getting his permission. Unfortunately, a couple of weeks ago, Rudolph died. So we don't know what's going to happen with the lawsuit. Generally, if a party dies and if they are the plaintiff, if they're the ones who filed the lawsuit may also end. We don't know yet. No determination has been made by the court because he just died a few weeks ago. But that's a real life example among family members.
Wow.
Fighting. And it's my belief, and I don't know, I haven't seen it written anywhere, but it's my belief that because a lot of especially notable artists and performers are going into the metaverse, which is a whole other discussion, that Ronald wanted to have the exclusive rights in the metaverse. You heard it here, folks.
Right. Wow.
So that just gives you an idea of the power of exclusivity, the power of ownership and control. You can keep others from using it, or if you grant a license or otherwise give them permission, that comes with compensation usually through royalties or licensing fees, that kind of thing.
Wow, that is so awesome. One of my former clients is an inventor, and she just recently went into an agreement with a manufacturing company, and her product is now launched. But throughout that process, she had to come up with agreements and, get people to look at the agreement, make sure it made sense and make sure everything was legitimate so that she would be able to get credit for and compensation for her invention.
Right.
So that kind of leads. Oh, were you going to say something?
I was just going to say, we can think about certain industries where this is common. Certainly in the movie industry, when people submit scripts, or ideas for movies and things like that. Hey, if they don't take the proper steps and don't, that handshake is as good as gold, not so much anymore. You have to have stuff in writing. You have to have non-disclosure agreements. You have to have confidentiality agreements. You have to make it clear that you are the owner of this creation, and people have to deal with you.
And see that's one of the things that is so key, because you have to work to come up with your product. If you have a service, a lot of the people we work with, myself and my children included, a lot of people watching may know my children, JFAM Johnson. But when we come up with something that is it's ours. So protecting that is so important. And people don't always know how to protect a framework or a strategy or even a book. When people send in manuscripts to testimony publishers, we make sure that we show them, give them opportunity to sign a mutual non-disclosure agreement. Meaning if you come in to, work with us, you bring us on, and then we're working with you, you can't give away our trade secrets either.
That's right.
And customers. So that is so, oh my goodness, that's so rich. I have a couple of people in the comments, Attorney Lawrence. So let me just address Carolyn. Hopefully I'm pronouncing your name correctly. She's saying, she's asking for you to please distinguish between trademark, service mark, or registered trademark. Do you want to do that now, or do you want to wait until a little bit later? It's up to you.
We can actually do that now. It's great, especially given our discussion recently.
Yes.
Well, a trademark has a couple of different things. The things that you want to trademark: your logo, your tagline, your name, colors unique to your business. Many states have a common law statute, and I'm in the state of Tennessee, and it actually has a common law trademark statute. And what that means is that you can get protection for what you trademark within the state that has that common law or has an actual statute. So you can get protection that way, but it's only good within that state. So many of our businesses are regional, national, and international. And I know we'll talk about that a little later. So TM says that you're utilizing the protection that's available in your state under common law or through statute. TM stands for products. SM stands for service. So they're exactly the same. It's just a matter of whether you're talking about a product or service. The R for registered trademark means that you have filed for registration with the USPTO, the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. And that's at the federal level. And that covers all of the states in the United States and our territories. So if you're doing business throughout the country and or in our territories, then the federal registration is really the best. And so many people have businesses, you're conducting e-commerce online and things like that. It makes sense to get that federal protection. So those are the differences between the TM, the SM, and the registered, the R, the registered trademark, which is the greatest protection.
Awesome. Awesome. Hopefully that answers your question, Carolyn Michael Banks. If you have any more questions, just go ahead and put them in the comments for Attorney Lauren. Attorney Lauren is one of our experts in Self-Publishers Hub, and she is very generous with her time. If you have any questions for her, reach out to her. Don't be shy. Reach out to her. I'm going to put her contact information in the comments, but can you go ahead and give your contact information now for anyone that may have to hop off?
Okay. Well, thank you for that opportunity. Our website is www.lauren, LAUREN, consults, CONSULTS.com. My email address is lauren@laurenconsults.com. Our phone number is area code 901-609-8723. So those are the best ways to contact me. You actually can contact me through our website or to send me an email directly. Thank you for the opportunity to share that.
You're welcome.
Look forward to hearing from you guys. Sooner than later, guys. I'm serious. Sooner than later. The minute you have an idea that you believe you want to protect, first of all, as soon as you have an idea that has been expressed in some way, manifested in some way, you've written it down, you've produced a product, you have a prototype, whatever it might be, that's the time to get the protection. And the story I told earlier, I just want to emphasize that you cannot tell too many people about what you're doing because you never know what might happen with that, especially if you're not moving as fast and you don't have things in place to protect your original idea.
Wow. True wisdom. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you so much for watching this video to this point. Now, if you have watched this much of the video, our content must be resonating with you. You probably have made the commitment in your mind to go ahead and write your book, but you may not know where to get started. You may not know how to actually go about writing and publishing your book, and that's fine. I am here to help. My husband Anthony, our children JFAM Johnson, and our expert team at Testimony Publishers LLC are here to help you. So click on the link below, and that link is going to take you to our website where you can find out more information. You can get free resources, free tools, and training to help you write and publish your life-changing book. You've been called for a time such as this. Answer the call and be obedient to the calling of the Lord to write and publish your life-changing book.
I had a few more questions. I mean, I could talk to you all night, and I'm quite sure the people in the comments who are watching are commenting. So let me go to their questions. Dr. Lana, welcome. Thank you so much for watching. So Dr. Lana has a question. So she says, good evening, Miss Lauren. Question: do non-disclosure agreements have limitations?
The short answer is no. The longer answer is yes. You know, a lot of what we lawyers say is it depends. And it really does. But generally, non-disclosure agreements can be very short. It depends on the situation. You want to have one in place, particularly, for instance, if you have an invention and you want to take it to a manufacturer or someone that can help you get the invention ready to be patented, you want to have a non-disclosure agreement. And as you mentioned, Ms. Johnson, mutual non-disclosure agreements are probably good to have. Sometimes, depending on the situation, like if it's a former employee, there's a lot of litigation in the area of how much you can prevent a former employee from pursuing their livelihood, because they may have come into, while working for a company, they may have come into knowledge about certain aspects of the company operations, for example. And so the company wants to preserve that, right? Those are maybe trade secrets, for example. But anyway, the company may want to try to limit the ability of the former employer to take with them and to share with others.
Right.
The core competencies, trade secrets, operations, those kinds of things with potentially a competitor. So you can understand from the company's standpoint why they would want to do that.
Yes.
However, it runs afoul really of the ability of the employee to pursue their livelihood as well. For instance, like there usually were geographic or time limits in terms of placing those restrictions on former employees in our example. So yeah, it really does depend on the circumstance. They could be fairly short, they can be lengthier, but the courts have spoken as to what those parameters are. So you just want to make sure that whoever drafts that for you is drafting that with the law in mind, and to make sure that it's within those parameters set out by the courts.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. That is eye-opening on so many levels. People don't talk about those types of things when it comes to business and sharing, non-disclosure. What do you disclose? What don't you? And then a lot of times as business owners and entrepreneurs, we're bringing people on and off board all the time. And I'm not just speaking from the point of clients. I'm talking about maybe we have some employees that we're bringing on, freelancers that we're giving, an inside view to our company protocol, our products and services even. So that is just mind-boggling how much you really have to protect yourself. So on that note, what do you think we could do? Because we're also creating, even our posts, our social media posts, we are always creating content. What's something that maybe you suggest or you do yourself to kind of protect against some of those ideologies or thought processes or even frameworks that you write about on social media?
Well, a couple of things. I mentioned a few things earlier in terms of what you can do internally. And also, you really have an obligation to monitor and make sure that you know where your content is going. One of the things that's happened fairly recently with Amazon, I'll use Amazon as an example. They have a registry now because people were using the Amazon logo, third parties, and they were selling fake counterfeit products. And so that's a big area right now, is this whole thing about counterfeit products, especially since the holidays are coming up, and we have different holidays throughout the year where people are spending and they don't know what it is that they're getting. So you want to make sure that you're using reputable companies if they're providing the content for you, or you're engaging them to do some of that work for you. Know who it is that you're dealing with, for sure. Right. And really, I create my own content, but I'm getting to a point where I'm looking at utilizing a service or an individual for that function of my business. And so I'm very careful about who it is that I use. I'm very careful about where things are posted, because again, once you put it out there, you really can't get rid of it. And so if it's really good stuff, people are going to want to repost and things like that. We know how the whole social media and online platforms are. So we just have to be aware. We have to monitor. We have to update regularly. We have to have those measurements in place, antivirus software, all of that technology. You really need, I say that there's a team that you need to be a very successful business owner, and I'm adding somebody else to the team. So your business, your dream team is going to be your business attorney. It's going to be your lender, or your go-to person, your personal banker. It's going to be an accountant, preferably a CPA. It's going to be a marketing person, and that includes advertisement. And a lot of what we're talking about comes under that marketing heading. And you're going to have a risk manager. And a lot of what we're talking about also comes under risk management, of which insurance is just one part. But the internal controls, cybersecurity, threats against, phishing and malware and all of that, those things you have a responsibility as a business owner to make sure that your business is safe and secure. And that does fall on you as a business owner. And you might be sitting there saying, well, I'm a small business owner. How can I do that? My response is, how can you not?
Yeah. Yes.
That's the world we're in now. And you have ways of keeping what you do safe and secure, but also make sure that your employees, your contractors, your partners, all of who impact your business are aware of what's going on to the extent that they need to know, and to have that consistent measurements in place.
Wow. Yes. Wow. You said a lot. I wanted to piggyback off of your comment where you spoke about reposting, because I want to know what you think about something I saw online. A former Starbucks employee got upset because they were fired or what have you, and put the entire recipe book online. I
saw that. Yeah.
I just saw this the other day, and I was like, I'm going to ask Attorney Lauren about this when we go on. And what do you think about, like, what could be done, or can anything be done? I mean, I'm quite sure something that falls along maybe trade secrets or something. Tell me a little bit about that and what you think about it.
Yeah, that's an example of a trade secret. And unlike copyright, trademarks, and patents, which are public, you're notifying the world of your ownership and control of that creation. Trade secrets is the opposite. And the operative word is secret. You keep trade secrets secret. Now, the question I would have, and I don't know if I saw anything about the actual individual other than they were an employee, is to what extent they had access to that, number one. To what extent the operation and employees manual made it clear that the information is confidential. It's a trade secret. It's part of the core competencies of that business, and that it's not to be shared. So if you have all of that in place, and you have every employee, contractor, and partner who has access potentially to that information, you have them sign off on something. Then you are in a position to sue them. But really, in that situation, the damage is kind of already done. Yeah. And so Starbucks has to put greater measures in place. Only those who need to know. So you can limit the access to that information by the individuals, the length of time. There are all sorts of ways to do that. And there's typically software that will do that. So your IT person in the company, whoever's, got that hat, whoever's wearing that hat, is responsible for those very things. So trade secrets are really a challenge now, because not a lot is new under the sun, number one, and so much is available electronically that's what's happening.
Right. That made me think of a couple of things in reference to an IT person I worked with previously was really good at scrubbing the internet, if anyone knows what that means. But going in and, making sure your reputation was, good or excellent, and scrubbing anything that was incorrect information. So that's significant as well nowadays, because the information, like you said, once it's out there, and you can't really get it back unless you have someone like an IT professional or security professional who knows the internet and whatnot. So that's really, really great information. In reference to sales, and I'm asking this question specifically for some of the people that I've worked with in the past and people that I'm working with now. Bringing on a sales team, someone who is going to, or people who are going to sell your product for you. You're past the point of solopreneur. You're now scaling out your business, whether it's a book business or if it's service, product or service, and you are now bringing people on. in addition to some of those precautions, like you said, need to know basis, what specifically would be the steps to take as far as maybe the paperwork, filing and whatnot, contracts?
Well, certainly you want to have some type of independent contractor agreement or employee contract. And a lot of employee contracts these days have a confidentiality and a non-disclosure clause in them. And they do for the very reasons that we have talked about, because I'll put it in this general way. Used to be in my generation, I'm a baby boomer, that once you went to work for a company, you stayed with that company until you retired, basically. Mm-hmm. Well, the last few generations are saying, well, no. So the type and nature and level of loyalty is different. It's not making a judgment, but it's different. And so it is unusual to have a core workforce that's the consistent, same, and long-term. It's just unusual for all kinds of companies. And so what's happening is there needs to be a way to make sure that those who do come on board fully understand and have clarity about what they have access to, and the fact that they cannot use it, and that they are giving their honor and their pledge, and they're signing off on a legal document that says they will conduct themselves in a certain way with regard to the confidential information. So one of the things that people get confused about with trade secrets, for example, because trade secrets is, you don't have to register it. It by definition is secret. But one of the issues that comes up is whether you should patent it. Because when you think about it, if you're not taking the steps and maintaining the steps to keep that trade secret a secret, it might become public knowledge. And I would venture to say that perhaps in that Starbucks situation, that may very well have been what happened. So did Starbucks, for example, determine that information has actual or independent economic value? Well, it would. I think that answer is yes.
Yes.
And it has that because that information is not generally well known. Now, it might be generally well known now, but it wasn't at the time. Does it have the sort of value that others cannot get easy access to it or legitimate access to it? Like that employee, they clearly didn't have legitimate access, but evidently they had access. And then lastly, reasonable efforts to keep it secret. And again, that's really where the crux is. What are you doing as a company to keep your trade secret secret?
Right. Wow.
So putting those different measures in place, and no matter how large or small your business is, you need to make sure that you're doing that. So some of the other issues that come up are whether what you're describing as a trade secret really is something that's patentable. Can you actually file a patent and get a patent or register that as a patent? And there's some considerations with that, because again, once it's out there, even as a patent, but you have different protection as a patent. Consider the implications of enforcing your rights, because again, now what is Starbucks going to do in that situation? Now that it's out there, what are they going to do? And are they perhaps in a position of being able or having to disclose further information about their operations by pursuing this? Or will they just change it? That, they always have that option as well, is to just change it. And so they have to really think about that. But these are the things that we are dealing with today. That's why intellectual property protection, going back to our subject, is so important, because you just never know who wants to use what you've created.
Awesome. Okay, so we have a couple of questions. So let's begin with the questions. I see a few of them, and then we will begin to wrap up according to how many more questions you want to take.
Okay.
Okay, awesome. So Carolyn Michael Banks has another question. She asks, let's see. go too far down. Okay, yep. Okay, good. So she asked, is there still something called a poor man's copyright, i.e. sending documents to yourself and not open?
You know,
and you and I have our feelings.
Yes, we do. And there's not agreement in the field and the industry about this. But if you find yourself in litigation, you've sued someone and you're in court, or someone has sued you and you're in court, how are you going to establish and defend your position? Mm-hmm. So let's give an example. If you believe that someone has stolen your idea, okay, mm-hmm. how are you going to establish when the manifestation of that idea, not just the idea, but the manifestation of the idea, the expression of the idea, how are you going to show when you created and express that idea? And so some people say the poor man's copyright is a myth. Other people say, if nothing else, that stamp, that postage stamp date by the U.S. Post Office, which has legal implications, the court system relies on that postage date. You can show at least as of that date, and that is taking a copy of what you've created. And so if it's a prototype, then you got to wrap it up and mail it to them. But whatever that expression is, you send it to yourself, certified mail, return receipt requested, and you don't open it. Certified mail, you'll get that green and white slip from the post office, which has the date stamp that shows when you mailed it. Return receipt is the green card that you get, which is the proof that you received it, because you have to sign for it. So if nothing else, and hopefully you'll have other things, but this is just one piece, one indication of when you can show that that belonged to you. So that's why people still use it. They use it for all kinds of things. It's not just, original content that you created, but it came out of the copyright arena. But people use it all the time. It's better than nothing, I'll put it that way, along with everything else. And that's why I say you really can't share it with too many people, friends, family, otherwise, because you just never know. And that's a shame, but that's the way it is.
One of the things that we purpose to drive home with our author clients is get a copyright. It's $65 to $100. So, but even if you don't work with us or work with any other publisher, you need to have that for yourself. It's part of our packages. It's part of other publishing companies' packages. So it is something that is so easy to do. $65. So you wouldn't even have to worry about a poor man's copyright
if you got a copyright.
Right.
That's
if
true.
you got a copyright. But you have to think, I'm a believer. So I believe my Lord and Savior is Jesus Christ. So if God gave me a gift, and that is in the form of a book, something that can be patented, something that can be trademarked, it is something that I need to do as part of my responsibility as a good steward.
That's right. To
take care of what God has given me and protect it. The enemy doesn't have to be a devil with a pitchfork and all that. We all know that that's not true. It can be just people, just like Attorney Lauren mentioned, family and friends who you tell about what you're doing, and then they take what you have worked for, what God gave you. So I just implore you, just take the necessary steps. Reach out to Attorney Lauren, talk to her, get her advice on what you need to do. So reach out to me, talk to me. If you're an author, I cover that field. Reach out to me, talk about how you can submit your manuscript, how you can write something or put pieces of your book online or social media. Do not leave it to chance.
Right.
Because most often we lose every time we do that. Okay.
That's so true.
In reference. Oh, I'm sorry.
I was just going to say one thing. the Supreme Court recently spoke and said that in order to enforce your rights under copyright law, the work has to actually be copyrighted. And this is a recent case in the last maybe month and a half or so. I'm not quite sure when it was issued, but the Supreme Court now has spoken. You actually have to have.
Wow. And you and I talked about that, Attorney Law. We talked about it. Yes. So that is very recent. And you see what I'm saying? Things change so often.
They do.
You have to look, y'all better put Attorney Law on speed dial. I'm serious. Because you cannot leave it to chance. You need someone in your corner that knows what they're talking about, or can lead you in the direction of where to go to get that information. Do not leave it to chance, people. You are too valuable. What you have is too valuable.
Thank you so much for watching this video to this point. Now, if you have watched this much of the video, our content must be resonating with you. You probably have made the commitment in your mind to go ahead and write your book, but you may not know where to get started. You may not know how to actually go about writing and publishing your book, and that's fine. I am here to help. My husband Anthony, our children JFAM Johnson, and our expert team at Testimony Publishers LLC are here to help you. So click on the link below, and that link is going to take you to our website where you can find out more information. You can get free resources, free tools, and training to help you write and publish your life-changing book. You've been called for a time such as this. Answer the call and be obedient to the calling of the Lord to write and publish your life-changing book.
People, you are too valuable. What you have is too valuable. So take care of it, and you will be rewarded even greater for being the better steward. So, okay.
That's right.
So what you have shared, that just opens the doors. So let's go over what you offer, your services, because it seems like there's some people on that may need it, or maybe even some people watching a replay. What does your office actually offer to help business owners, people, watching live or the replay?
Well, we provide a variety of services. One, we help you determine the best business structure for your business. Most businesses start out as a sole proprietor, but LLC, partnership, corporation. So we help you navigate through that. Putting management, different management items in place is another thing that we help with, especially if you have a team, if you have employees and you're building that team. We want to make sure that you're off on a solid footing with that. We also provide training services.
Okay.
So for both executive suite level, individual, small business owners, and we work primarily with small business owners and startups. So we want you to start off well. And then we also provide trademark and copyright protection applications. So if you're seeking to protect your intellectual property, we have a referral network for patents because that's highly specialized. But for copyrights and trademarks, we handle those within our company as well.
Awesome.
So those are our services, and we have just been very fortunate to work with companies, again, small businesses and startups, because they tend to be fairly early in the business. And so they're doing things the way they should, because I can't tell you about how many companies that have been around for a longer time that never protected their intellectual property. And now they're looking at valuing, looking at it as an asset, and they don't have it as an asset. And they've been in business for a long time figuring that they didn't need it. But these days and times, you need it. So I want to urge people to contact us. You can have an initial consultation, and then we can help you from there.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We do have another question if you want to take that question.
Sure.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for your time. We truly, put in the comments how much you appreciate Attorney Lauren coming on and talking to us about intellectual property. Thank her in the comments as I look for this last question that I saw. Okay, so oh, wait a minute. Okay, so people put in the comments and is moving it up. Okay, so Andrew Withers, he asked, explain fair use versus copyright. Who authorizes fair use?
Wow. Great question. These have been some really, really good questions this evening. I applaud the audience for that. There's a concept in copyright law that says that you don't have to get permission and you can use somebody's originally created work without their permission. There are certain exceptions, and that's called the fair use exception. And I happen to know Mr. Withers and his background in terms of his vocation. And so it's real important to know this in terms of copyright. So under certain circumstances, and the courts have been fairly clear about the fair use doctrine, they're saying that they will look at these items to determine if someone's use is a fair use, and that is using somebody else's protected content without their permission, beforehand or afterwards for that matter, without their permission at all. The court is going to look at the purpose and the character of the use. So why are you using it? Is it a parody? Is it a pundit? But what is the use and the purpose of that content that you're seeking to use and claim as fair use under that doctrine? Secondly, the nature of the copyrighted work. What is that work? Is it an image, choreography? Is it music, sculpture? What is it? The court's going to look at that. They're also going to look at the amount and substantiality, of the portion that's used. In other words, how much of the copyrighted protected material are you actually using? And the last consideration by the court is, what effect does this have on the market? Okay, so the copyrighted work, is it well known in the market? How much of it's being used? And really the general theory is that the more well known the copyrighted material is, the more of that material that's being used or claimed to be fair use doctrine, and how it's used. All of that will come into consideration. And the more of it that is used, the more likely it's not going to be covered under fair use. Wow. So if you think about it that way, otherwise you basically are taking someone else's creative work without their permission and using it, and perhaps benefiting financially from it, because that's a piece of the consideration as well. How is it being used? For what purpose? So if you're using it to make money off of it yourself, then you're going to run into some issues. You're going to have a hard time persuading the court that that's fair use. Right.
Wow. That is, you've enlightened me. Yes. There are so many people who have some questions with that as far as being an author. The thing that came to my mind was a lot of questions that we get about public domain material.
Yes.
When they're talking about public domain, can they use this old book, and then just revamp it and, new cover, name on it. So we have to advise them on, okay, we need to check the copyright, how many years after the person's death is it, and all of those things. But we wouldn't be able to know that information unless we did all of the research that took a whole lot of time, or talk to you, Attorney Lauren, and people who are attorneys in this field. So having access to someone like Attorney Lauren is going to just give you, just accelerate what you're doing. And I just can't speak to that enough, especially people who are knowledgeable like her and who have been practicing and actually are, staying up to date with what's going on. Every time I talk to you, Attorney Lauren, you have a new thing going on in the media or in the news or in the courts that, changes everything almost. Like everything I thought I knew last month, you're like updating me on something new. And I'm like, okay, well, what do we now have to do in our business for our clients and going forward? So that's awesome. There is someone else that asked a question about starting a federal credit union. Do you want to take that question, or do you maybe want to reach out later if you have time?
Especially when you're going to have some trademark, you're going to have some copyright, definitely those. And through your clients, there may be some patent, trademark, and copyright issues that come up as well. And so you definitely want to be aware of what's going on. You know, as a credit union, you're going to have a name, you're going to have a symbol or a logo, you may have a tagline, and those need to be protected. And then original material that's developed through the credit union process in connection with your services, you know, that content is copyrightable and should be protected. So definitely starting a credit union, even, you know, any kind of organization, not just a for-profit business. This is so serious here. It applies in the nonprofit world as well as the for-profit world. So great question.
And that was Mr. Roy.
Right.
Hopefully
Yes.
Dozier. Okay.
It's the
I'm trying to
Dozier.
get fancy. So you working with businesses or working with people to structure their businesses and things like that, you know, Attorney Lauren would be a great person to reach out to and talk to about starting your federal credit union. So thank you for that question. So I don't see any more questions. Anyone who has a question for Attorney Lauren, go ahead and put it in the comments. If we don't have time to get to it tonight, she has told me that she will come back to this post and comment and reply to any questions that you put here. We have put her information in the comments as well. I'll make sure I do that again for you all. But her website is available to you, her email address, and you even gave your phone number as well. I don't think I put that in there. Can you give that to me again?
Sure. It's on area code 901.
Okay.
That's the Tennessee area or Memphis area.
Okay.
609-8723.
Okay, so 901-609-8723.
Correct.
All right. Okay, I'm putting that in the comments now. Okay, so you have all of Attorney Lauren's information. If this resonated at all with you, let me just see in the chat some thank yous, some awesome information, some emojis, something to let us know that this is the type of content that you want. Let Attorney Lauren know how much you appreciate her time. Time is essential to what we do, what she does. So let us know in the comments. Give us some thank yous. If you have been called to write a book at all and you want to ask some questions about copyright and what you can do, submit your manuscript even to have someone review it. To maybe look at the market and see what is selling right now. You can definitely reach out to Testimony Publishers LLC. We have communities here on Facebook, Entrepreneurs Who Rise. Attorney Lauren is a member of that community. She's also a guest, an expert in our Self-Publishers Hub community, a community that's not on any of the social media platforms. It's our own community for people who are interested in writing and publishing. So definitely reach out to us if you have been called to write and you know that you've been called to write a book, whether you started your manuscript or not. Definitely reach out to us. Join our community. It's free to join. And we have additional resources in the guides and files section for you to get started. And that's in Entrepreneurs Who Rise online. Attorney Lauren, let's talk about your project and what you have coming up. You're presenting, first of all, anyone listening now live or on the replay, we can hire you to come speak. So talk about what you talk about when we bring you on or hire you to speak. Talk about your upcoming book project, because I know the people watching need that book. Talk about, oh my goodness, I cannot wait for this book to come out, because it's just going to be so definitive for the people who need the information.
I am so excited and honored and blessed to be working on this book about intellectual property. And so this book is really geared for authors, entrepreneurs, and business owners, or someone who's just interested in the topic. and fascinated by how much it impacts our lives, not only in this country, but globally. There's a lot going on globally with intellectual property as well. So we're going to cover the main types of intellectual property, which we talked about tonight. We're also going to devote some time in the book to artificial intelligence and its impact on intellectual property. That is a very, very hot topic. It is being discussed everywhere, not just in this country, but internationally as well. And we're also going to cover how to protect and enhance your brand using intellectual property, which is a value-added asset. We're also going to provide practical resources and how to keep up to date with what's going on. As Christina just said, the landscape is changing almost daily, I tell you. And the impact of AI has really begun to sink its teeth, so to speak, in this area. So our project, we have a pre-sale campaign going on right now. And so there are ways that you can help us be successful with this pre-sale campaign. The book is scheduled to be published in 2024. So that's around the corner. So what we're asking people to do is to, first of all, you may want to become a sponsor. And that includes 10-book bundle, exclusive invite to our private launch, a social media shout out, also interview mention, and a few other nice nuggets with that package. Right. You could also become a book supporter, which starts at around $100 and goes up. And so you'll get autographed copies of the book, invite to the private launch, and some social media shout out, and a few other goodies with that as well. Also, Ms. Christina asked earlier if I'm available. I'm doing presentations. I'm doing one tomorrow morning with the Tennessee Small Business Development Center. And so that's www.tsbdc.org. And once you get to their main site, you can look for virtual and in-person training. Tomorrow's intellectual property presentation is both in virtual and in person. It's not too late to register. And so you are able to participate virtually or to come in person at the Maxine Smith Center in Memphis. So all of that information is on the website. So we're going to talk about intellectual property and go into a little more in depth about what intellectual property is and ways to protect it. So the project is exciting. We're getting some great response. I encourage people to become a sponsor or become a supporter, and that will help this campaign really be the success that we know it's going to be. And by the way, besides that, tomorrow I give presentations now and again. I'm available for talks, presentations, group training, small and large group training, interviews such as what happened here this evening. It's just been great. I thank you all and appreciate this time. Also, certainly once the book comes out, you can support us by purchasing the book, and through your networks, make the book relevant and available to others. For those who are in the educational arena, you may want to add it to your educational library, your business, at work, at school. Also, we are anticipating creating a blog and podcast under the pseudonym IP Savvy. So you'll hear more about that. That's going to be launched as well very, very soon. And just help spread the word, not only about the topic, but the fact that someone with my background and experience and passion for helping others is talking real stuff about intellectual property and plain. It'll be in plain language so everyone can understand. And again, thank you so much, Christina. Thank you to all who stopped by and joined us in our discussion and conversation this evening. I really enjoyed it, and I'm really pumped up because I see that the word is getting out, and that's what we do. We help spread the word and make sure that businesses are on a solid footing and stay that way and grow and scale.
Awesome. Awesome. So thank you so much, everyone who's on live. If you're watching a replay, thank you, thank you, thank you. Once again, Attorney Lauren, thank you for your time this evening. You have been
My
a
pleasure.
wealth of information. You are always a wealth of wisdom. And I love your spirit, because you are a servant leader, and not many people are that nowadays. You put your heart out there, and you put your heart into what you're doing. And I thank God for you. I thank God for you. I thank God for you.
To him be the glory.
Amen. Amen. So that ends our conversation. This turned out to be a lecture series / presentation workshop. This was so awesome. And I am just thankful that we had the opportunity to come together this evening in safety and serve you all. So thank you all. If you have any questions for Attorney Lauren, leave them in the comments or reach out to her directly. Reach out to me if you are interested in writing or publishing. And we thank you all. God bless you all, and good night.